Welcome back, Headliner Nation. Kyle with the Fantasy Headliners. Really excited to be diving into my top 100 players for fantasy football in 2020. Nobody else is doing this on YouTube, people. Nobody else is going 100 players deep right now, but that's how we do it here on the Fantasy Headliners. Now, before we jump into all the information, a couple of quick points. Number one, with our rankings episodes, we don't go really deep with the players. We talk about a few points here and there and then move on to the next guy. If you want deep diving statistics, if you want that hard-hitting evidence as to why you should or should not draft a player, hit the subscribe button, stick around, and check out our other videos, because when we talk about a couple of players at a time, we do go much deeper than these rankings episodes. So if that's what you're looking for, we still have it. Just go to our other videos to catch it. And number two, it's only June. It is really early. These rankings are going to change a lot. But Jake and I have a track record of doing well with our rankings. Last year, over on Fantasy Pros, we were both towards the top 3%. And then last year, for overall rankings for quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends, I was in the top 30 overall. So I feel really comfortable with the process that we use here at the Fantasy Headliners and how we go about ranking our players. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump into the first set of the rankings, and we're going to start with number 100 overall. All right, first up, number 100 overall, the rookie running back for the Detroit Lions, DeAndre Swift, the running back one for the Detroit Lions. I know people are still loving them some Kerryon Johnson, and I don't hate Kerryon Johnson by any means, but DeAndre Swift is more talented than what Kerryon Johnson is. He's going to end up winning out and taking more of that work over the course of the season. I'm not overly high on him right now, just because I am worried that there is going to be a split to begin the year before he starts to pull away. But he should get some decent amount of work in the running game, a good amount of work in the passing game, and as the year goes on, he'll take more and more and more. But I've written some things on the Lions this year. I like where their offense is going. Coming from a Lions fan who continuously hates on them, for me to actually like them for once, ever, really, it seems like, I think that says something about how I feel where this Lions offense is going. If Stafford is healthy, DeAndre Swift definitely has a chance to even finish higher than this. Right now, my running back 3 just 2 spots below in the ECR for running back. So I'm kind of in the same area as most other rankers when it comes to DeAndre Swift at the running back position. For number 99 overall, another running back that just needs to stay healthy, Derrius Guice, my running back 31, number 99 overall, down 3 spots from the expert consensus ranking, so I've got him a little bit lower. But this guy is an absolute beast. If you've purchased our draft guide or plan on purchasing it, I do a section of it called the Dynamic Running Back Rating. It is a statistic that I developed myself that shows us the upside for a potential player on any given day. And with Derrius Guice, he has a lot of upside every single time he touches the ball, and I break that down in there. So he is definitely a guy that you want to consider this year, but he's got to be healthy, and he's going to have to take touches away from a lot of other players. That's why I've got him down at running back 31. He has a chance to finish higher, but he also has a chance to finish much lower. He's a very risky player in 2020. My first wide receiver to talk about within the rankings, coming in at number 98, rookie wide receiver Jalen Reagor. If you know this channel, you know how we feel about Jalen Reagor. We absolutely love him, and you can see that because based on other rankers over on Fantasy Pros, I am 18 spots higher on Reagor with him as my wide receiver 41 than others. I absolutely love Reagor this year. Yes, it could help if the people around him are healthy. Absolutely. If we can get Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson on the field every single game, that can only help Jalen Reagor, especially if we can play him in the slot a majority of the time. The kid is super athletic and does a lot of great things. I know there's some concerns about separation with him, but do not worry. He will be able to separate with no problem. He has extremely high athleticism. The kid is going to have a fabulous year this year. I'm really excited to watch him play. And even if we have any injuries to Alshon Jeffrey or Deshaun Jackson, hopefully the Eagles decide to run more 2 tight end sets with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, because that's going to keep enough weapons on the field to help Jalen Reagor not be the main point of focus. And then, as always, you've got Emmanuel Sanders in the backfield. So there should be more than enough weapons there that Jalen Reagor doesn't have to be the number 1 target. but the guy should eat, especially in a half PPR format. He should see quite a bit of targets and be able to get quite a few receptions. Going back to the running back position now for number 97, Sony Michel from the New England Patriots. He's my running back 30. I am 3 spots lower on him at the running back position than most others. I don't mind Sony Michel this year. The reason being is because when you've got a young, unproven quarterback like Jarrett Stidham, you're going to have to rely on the running game somewhat. Now, I like James White much more than I like Sony Michel this year. But they have some unproven weapons out at wide receiver as well. N'Keal Harry, yes, a lot of draft capital there. I still like him. I still think he can be a very good player. But are we really going to rely on him? Are we going to say that he's going to all of a sudden break out and be that number 1 target? Julian Edelman, getting a little bit older, is he going to have the same type of chemistry with Stidham that he did with Brady, working in the slot? He's definitely going to be a guy that should see a lot of targets. But I think we're going to end up seeing the Patriots run the ball quite a bit this year. If the defense is even half as good as it was last year. It tailed off a little bit towards the end of the season, but they have lost a lot. Okay, they've lost 3 key players in free agency. If the defense can even be half of what it was last year, they should be able to still stop some opponents, especially there in that division where it won't necessarily be as strong as others. And if they can still get some of those stops, they still should be able to try to focus on the run game and use Sony Michel quite a bit. So I think Sony Michel has some sneaky value this year and is being overlooked quite a bit. I am a little bit lower on him than others, but definitely don't just pass over him on draft day. Number 96 from the New York Giants, Golden Tate coming in as my wide receiver 43. I do like Tate this year as well. I've actually done a video on Tate already. You can go back and find that on deep wide receiver sleepers. I have him at wide receiver 43, which is 9 spots higher than what the ECR has him. So I'm even higher on him than a lot of people this year. Don't forget, if you just look at those top layer stats with Golden Tate last year, he was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. If you don't remember that, he missed those first 4 games, so those overall numbers don't look nearly as good. But from the time he came back in week 5 till the end of the season, he was a really solid wide receiver 3. He's also a guy that gets you a lot of targets, gets peppered with a lot of targets there in the slot, but he can break a lot of plays as well. 4 plays last year of 20-plus yards for touchdowns, so he can still take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. Really like him there in New York this year. I think he's going to be a really good weapon. I think Darius Slayton's going to be good too. I've got more on him coming up. I think Daniel Jones has an opportunity this year. He's just got to grow, but don't worry, we'll talk about Daniel Jones soon. So Golden Tate, my wide receiver, 43. Number 95 overall, New Orleans Saints, new wide receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, coming in at wide receiver 42. I'm actually right on that with him there at 42. So directly on there with him, which is fine. I am good with him at wide receiver 42. I think there's a lot of weapons there. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a good year. However, I am a little concerned with all the weapons around him, especially Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook now has a full season under his belt. Though we are going to see some, we are going to see some games where maybe Emmanuel Sanders doesn't really help out. So the ECR and myself, we are pretty even here with him at wide receiver 42. I think that's a good spot for him, my number 95 overall player. All right, number 94 overall, another wide receiver, Christian Kirk from the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the reason you could make an argument that him and Emmanuel Sanders maybe kind of fit some of the same mold. A lot of weapons around them, an offense that probably will be throwing the ball quite a bit. But the difference is that I think Christian Kirk has a little bit better opportunity because he has that chemistry with Kyler Murray already, where the main competition for targets in DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have that chemistry. So Christian Kirk is a guy that I definitely think could become kind of that outlet for Kyler Murray this year. One where if he's scrambling around a little bit, which he probably will have to do, that offensive line is not very good. But when you're scrambling a lot and moving around a lot, sometimes when you have that connection with another player, you automatically look their way because you just know that they're going to be open or you know what they're going to do, things of that nature. And Christian Kirk could end up being that guy this year. At my wide receiver 41, I think this is a pretty fair value for him. I'm one spot lower on him than the ECR, number 94 overall. We'll have to see how that offensive line does. We'll have to see how Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins hook up. There is some room for him to grow a little bit and go a little bit higher. But again, with Kenyon Drake there, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, and Christian Kirk, I don't think it's fair for us to expect a whole lot more than this type of season from him. Now, we talked about the New England Patriots a minute ago. We're going to keep that going here with Julian Edelman, my wide receiver 40. I don't hate Julian Edelman. I like him where he's going in a lot of drafts right now because he's going way back towards like that 8th and 9th round in a lot of different drafts depending on your format. So number 93 overall, I am a little bit lower than the ECR. I've got him 6 spots lower at wide receiver 40, but I think he could end up being kind of that safety valve again if they do have to pass a lot for Stidham. But he's going to have to develop that chemistry. He's going to have to work with him a little bit more, and they're going to have to be in situations where they're probably throwing the ball quite a bit. I don't think the New England Patriots are going to put themselves into a position where they're going to look at Stidham and say, you're going to have to go win games for us. I think they're going to want him to take care of the football, make the plays when he needs to make the plays, focus on the run game, let the defense win some games for them, and that's going to be their key to success this year. If that's the case, then there's no way that Julian Edelman is going to be able to see seasons that he used to have with Tom Brady. So at wide receiver 40, I like his value where he's currently going in drafts. So keep an eye on him on draft day because he's still a guy that you could add as kind of your wide receiver 4 or 5. Put him on your bench, and if it ends up working out well, then you got yourself a steal on draft day. At number 92, we have a former New England Patriot. No, it's not Tom Brady. It's his buddy, Rob Gronkowski. We're going with Gronk at number 92, my tight end 11. You're not going to see a ton of tight ends within these rankings because when you get down towards that bottom half of tight end ones, they just don't score a whole lot of points. So I definitely have quite a bit of them outside the top 100. My first tight end, though, within the top 100, Rob Gronkowski, my tight end 11. I'm 5 spots higher on him than the ECR. I did not like Rob Gronkowski a majority of the offseason. I'll be honest with you. The last time we saw him on the field, he was dealing with some injuries. He hasn't been himself the last couple of years he played. He's not the same dominant guy. Back injuries, everything like that. New offense. But Bruce Arians says the other day, we're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel more often, meaning you're going to see more 2 tight end sets on the field. So you could see a lot of Rob Gronkowski and a lot of O.J. Howard on the field, and then you've got your 2 wide receivers and your 1 running back. So we're going to end up seeing, I think, a lot more of that more often this year. Rob Gronkowski could accidentally fall into tight end 1 status. I mean, if he can score 7 touchdowns, he's going to be close to being a low-end tight end 1. My expectations are not much higher than that, though. I'm not putting him up towards the top tier of tight ends. He's the guy that on draft day, if he falls to a decent position, take a look at him because he should still see some decent looks in the red zone, even though I think Mike Evans still is that number 1 red zone target. But with Rob Gronkowski, I don't mind it coming in at number 92 for me. My tight end 11, 5 spots higher than the ECR. Number 91, Daniel Jones, my quarterback 13 this year. Just have him outside the top 12 of quarterbacks. Did I say tight ends? Of quarterbacks, just outside the top 12 of quarterbacks. I am 1 spot higher on him right now than the ECR at quarterback. I do like him this year, but we have to see him take another step. At times last year, he was inconsistent. You could definitely see that he was a guy that probably shouldn't have gone where he did in the draft, although he does have the ability to be a pretty decent quarterback. So that's my concern with him. Can he take another step forward? Can he take a step forward like Josh Allen did from his rookie season to last year? Can Daniel Jones take that step forward as well? Cut down on some of those inaccuracies. He definitely has the weapons around him. When you've got a running back like Saquon Barkley, when you've got a tight end like Evan Ingram, wide receivers Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, you have a lot of weapons around you to help make that process a lot easier. So he just has to take that step forward himself, and he will end up being just fine. My quarterback 13, Daniel Jones, coming in at number 91 overall. And the last player for this video, coming in at number 90, Jonnu Smith, my tight end 10 from the Tennessee Titans. We love ourselves some J Smooth. I just came up with that. That's his new nickname. Hashtag J Smooth is going to be Jonnu Smith's nickname here in 2020. So write it down, Headliner Nation. That's what we're going to be calling him. J Smooth coming in as my tight end 10. My ECR comparison has him 5 spots higher at the tight end position. So I absolutely do love Jonnu Smith this year. I think he's going to be a breakout. We've done some videos on him already. There's going to be more information on him in the draft guide. This dude on a per touch basis, even though he hasn't seen all the volume that we would like to see in the past, with him being the guy now, no Delaney Walker, I think he ends up becoming that second target for Ryan Tannehill. A.J. Brown, number 1 still, but if Jonnu Smith can be that number 2 target, if you take how efficient he is and how big of a playmaker he can be on a per-touch basis and put that in the big picture of an entire season, Jonnu Smith at number tight end 10 for me is actually kind of his floor. This is a guy that could be a top 5 tight end by the end of the season. Absolutely love him. He's got a ton of upside. Keep an eye on him on draft day. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My top 100 players for 2020. Now, don't forget as well, before you head out, you can pre-order the draft guide at thefantasyheadliners.com. It's going to be dropping really soon, $19.99. Got everything you need. Almost 600 pages of virtual content for you to win your fantasy leagues in 2020. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button for me down below. Leave a comment. What did you think of the first several players in the rankings? And make sure you stick around. Subscribe to the channel so you can see where we go with the rest of my rankings this season. We're going to be dropping these videos over the next couple of weeks. We'll go all the way down to number 1 overall. So expect the next set of rankings to drop here in the next couple of days. Headliner Nation, love you all. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a good one.